Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
We move on to the next section in this chapter, which is about speaking skills. And this is considered to be one of the most important skills on of all the four skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So, here in this chapter on speaking skills, we are focusing on presentation skills. Okay. So presentation is something that is very common nowadays where you speak using some images to support what you speak. So that is what is nowadays known as presentation. So when you speak using some images for support, which is projected using the help of a computer. So what happens is that it is your speech is not entirely dependent on your knowledge or on the words that you use. You are also using some visual aids. So you are using some visual aids, okay, something to help you in presentation. So we use that visual aids. For example, the PowerPoint or slides. Okay, we use some slides for presentation. So when we use slides for presentation, there are some specific skills that we require in preparing slides which are suitable for presentation. So let us now look at this chapter, presentation skills. One of the most important skills required in today's professional world is the ability to make effective presentations. So if you are a good presenter, you are able to transfer your ideas to the audience in a very clear manner. So because you are also using some visual tools, it actually helps your presentation to become better, clear. There is more clarity in your presentation when you are using such visual aids. Becomes clarity means it is state of being clear. So there are some things which are very keywords in presentation. So there are some elements in this when you are making a presentation before an audience. There are some things which are important and some things which are not important. So here we have a lot of important things, but can you find out the things which are not important in a presentation? So in this box, inside the box, there are certain terms. Can you find out some terms which are not important in a presentation? Okay, you should mention those things not important. Okay, only the things which are not important. Only the things which are. That is right, Krishna. Names of listeners. When I am talking to you here, I actually don't know the names of all the people except for when I look at the list. Otherwise, I don't know your name. So, names of listeners are not required for a good presentation. And it is also not possible because when you go and present before an unknown audience, it is not possible to gather everybody's name before you start the presentation. Even if you gather their name, it is not possible to remember their names. So names of listeners is not an important thing. Okay, that is one thing which is not important. Another thing which is not important is special effects. That is very good, Sia. Thank you for that response. Special effects. That is, somebody might create a slide which is like highly animated, വളഞ്ഞ് തിരിഞ്ഞൊക്കെ വന്ന് വീഴുന്ന പോലെയുള്ള ഒരു സ്ലൈഡൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത്. That may be good in a film, in a movie, but that is not required in an academic presentation. When you are presenting some knowledgeable information, that is not important. So special effects is not required in a presentation. In your presentation, we are actually using the presentation to help us in uh, conveying our ideas to the audience. So special effects is not important. Then there is another term. Yes, yeah, that is right. Jargon. Jargon means use of specialized language. Specialized language. Certain terms uh, which are uh, specific to any particular subject is called a jargon. That is terms which a common person finds it difficult to understand. So that is also not required. Very good, Surya. Company's reputation. So company's reputation is also not very important when you talk about in a presentation. So our focus should be only on the topic, and we have to prepare very well. So if you look at the things which are important, what is important? Planning and preparation is important. Okay, so the important ones are, yes, Surya, preparation is important for, yes, Sri Lakshmi PN. We have to plan well for the presentation. Then we should have a good accent, very good, Dia. Yes, Surya, pronunciation should be good. Then our body language, the way we stand before the audience. Then, yes, Krishna, yes, yeah. So, eye contact, choice of vocabulary. Yes, that's right, Surya. So, the choice of vocabulary, our body language, our accent, our eye contact, our pronunciation, the way we pronounce words, ucharanam, pronunciation. So, all these things are very important in a presentation. So we have to focus on these things. So if you get a topic, we have to plan our presentation. We have to prepare our presentation. We cannot just go and talk about any topic just by getting a topic. So we have to prepare, we have to plan. So that is why planning and preparation are important. Okay. So the next activity is how to prepare a slide or a set of slides. Suppose you are going to present something about your college. How will you present? Okay. So when you begin a presentation, what are the things that we can include in our first slide? So I'll read out that for you. Activity 2. Imagine that you are assigned the task of making a presentation before a group of foreigners who have come to visit your college as part of the cultural exchange program. What would be your first slide? So what are the points you would include in it? So there is a blank space which is provided. There you can write there also. So what will be your first slide? How will you prepare your first slide? So when you begin a presentation, എങ്ങനെയായിരിക്കും for first starting, what should be there in the slide? Very good. Surya, the subject or the topic should be title കൊടുക്കണം. Yes, there should be a welcome. Yes, there should be a very impressive heading. Yes, Trishna. There should be a very impressive heading. There should be a welcome. There should be a title. Then there should be an introduction. Yes, and also the person who is making the presentation. അവരുടെ പേരും വയ്ക്കാം. Suppose I am making the presentation. So when Dia is making the presentation, you can write the title, and below the title you can write Dia ND, first semester electronics, Government Women's Polytechnic College, Thrissur. So like that, so that is the title slide. So there will be a title. You actually welcome the gathering. Then there is the name of the person who is making the presentation, as well as the your class and the name of the college. Okay, so this is how we will make the presentation. Very good. So what can we include in the first slide? Yes. Have you included the following? The title of the, yes, self-introduction. Yes, I know. So the person's name, that is the self. The title of the presentation, the name of your college and name of the presenter and class. So these details we can include in the first slide of your presentation. So we are actually presenting about our college. So that is the task for us. The question says that we have to present about, isn't it? So that is, we are presenting about making a presentation of our college to foreigners. Okay, so people have come from other countries, they are come to our college, so we are actually making a presentation of our college before them. Okay, so what are the other slides that we can include? So we can include these things. Okay, so what are the details that we can include? We can highlight through your presentation. So some examples are given there. That is, you can talk about the best practices that we have. So we have a lot of systems we have introduced in our college which are different from other polytechnics. So we can mention all those things. For example, we can mention that we have um, a women's club here, because this is a women's polytechnic college devoted entirely to the learning of women. So we have a women's club here which actually helps to promote the social involvement of women. So that is one of the best practices that we follow here. And we can mention about the clubs that we have in this. We have a debate club which conducts regularly debates. We have a literary club which organizes literary events, competitions, etc. We have different other organizations like NCC, NSS, Nature Club, etc. And we have 3 departments. We can give a brief description of the 3 departments. So when you make these presentations, these are not full sentences. Okay, when we write them in the slide, or rather type them in the slide, it is not written as very long sentences. It is written as brief as possible. So we will look at these slides and then speak and make a very detailed description of the points that are there on the screen. അല്ലാതെ വലിയ സെൻറ്റൻസുകൾ ഈ സ്ലൈഡ്സിൽ എഴുതി വെക്കില്ലല്ല. So the amount of text in the slides should be minimum. So that is a key thing that we have to notice, that in the slides, any slide, minimum text should be there. There should not be a lot of text. Minimum text. And then how will we compensate for the less amount of text? Because we are speaking, we will speak in detail about what is there on the screen. So all these things, all these slides will get projected on the screen. So when they get projected on the screen, we can give a very detailed description of what is there on the screen. So that is how presentations are done. So we have to prepare such slides and present and get an experience on how to make good presentations. So we can have 4, 5, 6 slides or any number of slides depending on the kind of uh, points that we have. For example, we can also add what are the different below that they have mentioned. We can have different departments, clubs, special achievements, etc. For example, if you talk about our college's achievements, we can mention that we have won prizes in state level sports events, arts events, etc. And we can also mention that ours is the only polytechnic in Kerala which in the government sector which has an NBA accredited diploma program. So such can also be mentioned as another slide. If you prepare a slide, you can also talk about the results of various students in their diploma. You can also talk about the placement, that is how many people got job. So all these things can also be included. So all these can become separate slides. You can talk about some for example, the contributions of the alumni association. Alumni association is old students association. So what has the old students association contributed to our college? So all these things can be included in the slides. So you can prepare as many slides as required, and then after preparing these slides, you don't just run those slides. When the slides are shown on the screen, we also speak about them. So once we are through the entire points, once we have finished the all the points that we have to say, we can move to the concluding slide. Okay. So what are the concluding slides? What are the points that you will include? So how will you prepare your concluding slide? What are the points you would include in it? So concluding slide should not be very long and very detailed. It should be very brief. Yes, there should be a thank you. Yes, Rishma, there should be a note of thanks. And you should can you even include some pictures of the college. Yes, so such thank you notes can be included. So that is why it says that don't forget to include a note of thanks to the audience. And you can also include some pictures of the college. You can include the website. You can website of the college. You can include the email ID of the college, phone numbers, etc. All these things can be included in the concluding slide. So that that gives so for those who are more interested in knowing about the college, they can go to the website. So even after the presentation is over, the audience can go to the website. They can send you emails. They can contact you over the phone. And if you are on Facebook, our college is on Facebook. So you can also mention the Facebook group page. We are also on Twitter. So all these things can be included on the concluding slide. And of course, we should include a note of thanks to the audience for listening to our presentation. So we have to be very careful on presenting slides because slides should not create boredom on the audience. It should not cause boredom. They should not be bored after listening to your presentation. So it should be interesting. So how can we make our slides interesting to the audience? So that is why it says examine your slides with the following checklist. I have used simple and clear language in my slides. Yes or no? Yes, Srishma, Diya, Krishna, Surya. Thank you for those response, Sri Lakshmi. So we should use clear language, simplicity. So as I said, uh, our language should have three major characteristics: simplicity, clarity, and these three qualities should be there. It should be simple, it should be clear, and it should be brief. So have we used clear language in our slides? Should our sentences be very long? No, because long sentences are only for textbooks. This is not a textbook. We are preparing slides. That's right, Archana, Siya, Krishna, everybody has Sri Lakshmi, Srishma, everybody, Surya. So everybody has understood this. Dia has also understood. So this means that we should not use very long sentences. We should only use points in the presentation. So only points should be there in the slides. So long sentences we can speak long sentences. So but it should not be typed into the slides. So our sentences should be very brief on the slides. There should be minimum text. So this is something which I will always emphasize. You can include photographs of places. When you're mentioning a club, you can include a photograph of that club. So minimum of text, more of visual information. That should be the peculiarity of slides. So our sentences should not be very long. And so this is technical terms. So technical terms are also called jargon. If you use too much of jargon, what will happen? The audience will not understand. So the audience may be a mix. They may not be technical people. There may be very common people who are there in the audience. So if we use a lot of technical terms, what happens is that the audience will find it very difficult to understand what we are speaking about. So we should use less of jargon, less jargon, and less of technical terms. So jargon and technical terms are almost the same. So we should use less jargon or less technical terms in our slides. So the audience will not find it scary. So they will not be afraid of our presentation. And are my fonts clearly visible and readable? What do you mean by a font? Yes, yes, it should be. So many people have responded. I'm grateful for your responses. Archana, Srishma, Diya, Trishna, Surya, Sri Lakshmi. Thank you for those responses. So this font means is the shape, okay, shape, and also the size of the what you type on the screen. Okay, that is what is known as a font. The shape and size of the letters that we type on the screen. It should be very clear. So we should not use fonts which are not suitable for distant viewing. So there are fonts which are suitable for different situations. So for screens, there are certain fonts which are prescribed, which should be very clear, should not be confusing, it should not cause strain to the audience. അത് നോക്കിയിട്ട് കണ്ണ് വേദന എടുക്കരുത്. So it should be very clear. The font should be large enough. It should also be not it should not be confusing to the audience. So that is what we have to be careful about when we type fonts. I have included a lot of information in a slide. Too much of information, what happens? It looks like a textbook. So no, yes, Surya, Diya, Krishna, Sri Lakshmi, Shrishma, Archana, Anushri, Sia, Ardra. So, no, we should not use too much information in a slide. We have already seen that textbooks are not interesting, which have a lot of information in just one page. So, it should be minimum of text. Then what? How will we provide the information? Provide the information when we speak. The text should be just points in a slide. So less amount of textbook, less amount of information in a slide. Okay, that is correct. So we should not include a lot of information in a slide. I have included any appropriate pictures. Appropriate means suitable, proper. Something which is proper is called appropriate. Yes, Trishna. Yes. Archana, Sri Lakshmi, Diya, Siya. That is right. So yes, Anushree. So we should use only suitable pictures. So when we are talking about the college, we can include pictures of the college. When we are talking about some particular machines, you can include pictures of those machines. When you are talking about some animals, we can include the pictures of those animals. When you are talking about chemicals, we can include pictures of those chemicals. So whatever we are speaking about, we have to include pictures suitable to the topic of our discussion. Sometimes we may have to include some bar graphs or some pie diagrams to make our information more clear to the audience. Suppose we have some statistics, that is, there are 100 students have written the exam, and 50 percentage have attended the exam completely, 25 percentage have attended partly, and 25 percentage are yet to attend the exam. Yes, so everybody says that we should include clear, it should be easily understood, isn't it? Very good. Thank you for those responses. Yes, yes. So my bars and graphs can be easily understood. Yes, very good. Thank you for those responses. Yes, Surya, Anushri, Sri Lakshmi, Diya, Shrishma, Archana. Okay, Anushri, so much. Yes, Sri Nandana. Thank you for those responses. It should be very clear. The bars and graphs that we use should be easily understood by the audience. Now we examine the following slides. Which of them will be more effective in a presentation? There are two slides. The first slide has a very long text. The second slide has just points. Which will be more effective? Which of these two slides will be more effective? Second slide. Yes, Krishna, Shrishma, Sri Lakshmi, Archana, Diya. It will be the second slide. Yes, Surya, Ardra. Why is the second slide easy to understand? Because it is written as points. There are only points in the second slide. So it is easy to read. Whereas the first slide, you have a lot of text. Such writing is suitable for a textbook. Yes, Sri Lakshmi PN. It is minimum text and it is clear. Yes, they are simple and clear. So that is how our slides should be. So if you are using a lot of text in your presentation, that is not suitable for a presentation. It is suitable for a textbook. ടെക്സ്റ്റ് ബുക്ക് എഴുതുമ്പോൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡിൽ എഴുതിയ പോലെ എഴുതാം. പക്ഷേ ടെക്സ്റ്റ് ബുക്ക് അല്ല, നമ്മൾ ടെക്സ്റ്റ് ബുക്ക് അല്ല എഴുതുന്നത്, നമ്മൾ സ്ലൈഡ്സ് ആണ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. സ്ലൈഡ്സ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ പോയിന്റ്സ് ആയിട്ട് മാത്രമേ എഴുതാൻ പാടുള്ളൂ. സോ മിനിമം ടെക്സ്റ്റ്. വെരി ഗുഡ്. ഓക്കെ. So that is why the second one is more suitable. Okay, next let us now look at some other kind of thing. These two slides on nano mission, which is clear, which is first slide is clear. First slide is clear. Yes, very good. So many responses are there. Yes, Surya, Sia, Anjali, Archana, Gargi, Anu, Shrishma, Sri Lakshmi, Aishwarya Ram Prakash, Diya, Krishna. Yes, as Sri Lakshmi says, it is clear and easy to read. Yes. So here the problem is with what is known as the fonts. Okay. And the first one, the fonts are clear, but in the second slide, the title is using some fancy fonts. Fancy fonts may be suitable for some fancy fonts ഒരിക്കലും യൂസ് ചെയ്തതെന്നല്ല, പ്രസൻറ്റേഷന് സ്യൂട്ടബിൾ അല്ല. ഫാൻസി ഫോൺസ് നമുക്ക് വല്ല ബ്രോഷറിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വല്ല നോട്ടീസിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വല്ല ബാനർ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴോ അതല്ലെങ്കിൽ കല്യാണക്കുറി അടിക്കുമ്പോഴോ അതിലൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ ഫാൻസി ഫോൺസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്താൽ ഭംഗിയായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ നമ്മളൊരു പ്രസൻറ്റേഷൻ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഓഡിയൻസിന് അത് വായിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, ബിക്കോസ് ദേ ആർ സിറ്റിംഗ് അറ്റ് എ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ആൻഡ് ദിസ് ഈസ് ബീങ് പ്രൊജക്റ്റഡ് ഓൺ ദ സ്ക്രീൻ. So they will not understand what is written. So in a presentation, we are not trying to impress the audience. നമ്മളുടെ വിവിധ ഫോണ്ടുകൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കാനുള്ള കഴിവ് ഉപയോഗിച്ച് അവരെ ഇമ്പ്രസ് ചെയ്യലല്ല നമ്മുടെ ഉദ്ദേശം. വി വാണ്ട് ദ ഓഡിയൻസ് ടു അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ് വാട്ട് വി ആർ ടോക്കിംഗ് അബൌട്ട്. നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ച് അവർക്ക് വ്യക്തമായി മനസ്സിലാവണം. സോ ഫാൻസി ഫോൺസ് ഷുഡ് നോട്ട് ബി യൂസ്ഡ് ഇൻ എ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷൻ. അപ്പോൾ ആ നാനോ മിഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആ ടൈറ്റിൽ ഒരു ഫാൻസി ഫോണ്ടാണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തത്. സോ വി ഷുഡ് നോട്ട് യൂസ് സച്ച് ഫാൻസി ഫോൺസ് ഫോർ ദ presentation. Okay, and the next second slide, you can also see that title മാത്രമല്ല അതിലെ പോയിന്റ്സും they are all using different kinds of points. Yes, size of the, yes Rishma, the size of the fonts. ഫസ്റ്റ് പോയിന്റ് എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ളതിൻ്റെ ഫോണ്ട് സൈസ് വളരെ ചെറുതാണ്, അത് വായിക്കാനേ പറ്റില്ല. സോ ദ സൈസ് ഓഫ് ദ ഫോണ്ട് ഇസ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. ദ ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഫോണ്ട് ഇസ് ഓൾസോ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. അപ്പോൾ സൈസും ടൈപ്പും, വലിപ്പം, പിന്നെ അതിൻ്റെ ഷേപ്പ്. സോ സൈസ് ആൻഡ് ഷേപ്പ് ഓഫ് ദ ഫോൺസ് ബോത്ത് ആർ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. പിന്നൊന്ന് സെക്കൻഡ് പോയിന്റ് നോക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, സെക്കൻഡ് സ്ലൈഡിൻ്റെ സെക്കൻഡ് പോയിന്റ് നോക്കിയാൽ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് റിട്ടൺ ഇൻ all capitals. All capitals is not suitable. Is not suitable. Okay, so we should not use all capitals. അതെന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഓൾ ക്യാപിറ്റൽസ് ഇസ് ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ടു റീഡ്. എല്ലാ ടെക്സ്റ്റും ക്യാപിറ്റൽ ലെറ്റേഴ്സിൽ എഴുതി വെച്ചാൽ വായിക്കാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. നമുക്ക് തോന്നും ക്ലിയർ ആവുന്നു, അങ്ങനെയല്ല, കുറച്ച് ടൈം കൂടുതൽ എടുക്കും. ഫുള്ള് ക്യാപിറ്റൽസിൽ എഴുതിയ സാധനം വായിക്കാൻ കൂടുതൽ സമയമെടുക്കും, ബിക്കോസ് ഇറ്റ് കോസസ് സം സ്ട്രെയിൻ ഓൺ ദ ഐസ്. വേറൊരു പ്രോബ്ലം, എല്ലാം ക്യാപിറ്റൽസിൽ ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഈസ് ഓൾസോ നോട്ട് കൺസിഡേർഡ് പൊളൈറ്റ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആസ് ഇഫ് യു ആർ ഷൗട്ടിങ് അറ്റ് ദ ഓഡിയൻസ്. മൊത്തം ക്യാപിറ്റൽസിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും എഴുതുന്നത് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ലൈക്ക് ഷൗട്ടിങ്. നമ്മൾ വായിക്കുന്ന ആളോട് ഷൗട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് ഈക്വലൻ്റ് ആണ്. സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ എങ്ങനെയാണോ നമ്മൾ ഒച്ചയെടുക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളുടെ ദേഷ്യം പ്രകടമാക്കുന്നത്, അതേപോലെ ദേഷ്യം പ്രകടിപ്പിക്കാൻ റൈറ്റിങ്ങിൽ ദേഷ്യം, എഴുതുമ്പോൾ ദേഷ്യം പ്രകടിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഒരു മാർഗമാണ് മൊത്തം ക്യാപിറ്റൽ ലെറ്റേഴ്സിലേക്ക്. സോ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് പൊളൈറ്റ് ലാംഗ്വേജ് വെൻ വി ആർ യൂസിങ് all capital letters. Similarly, the third point in the second slide is also using some fancy points, fancy fonts, which are not suitable for slide presentation. So we have to take care of the size of the letters. We have to consider the shape of the letters, and we also have to consider the capital and small letters. So capital letters should be used when the sentence begins, when you are using the name of somebody, etc. But all capitals, the complete sentence being written in capital letters is not advisable. അത് സ്ലൈഡ്സിൽ മാത്രമല്ല, നമ്മൾ ലെറ്റർ എഴുതുമ്പോഴും ഒന്നും ഒരിക്കലും all capitals യൂസ് ചെയ്യരുത്. When you are writing an email or anything, all capitals is not advised because it is like shouting. Let's now look at the third picture here, third set of pictures, third set of slides. It is a slides related to the pictures. Which is the better slide? Is it the first slide or the second slide? Yes, Aishwarya, Diya, Lakshmi. Yes, Sia, Krishna Priya, Archana, Surya. Very good. So many people have responded. It is the second slide. And as somebody has also said in the chat box, Sri Lakshmi has said it should be, yes, Archana has also said appropriate pictures, suitable pictures, which is proper. Okay, appropriate means proper, suitable pictures. നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന ടോപ്പിക്കുമായി ബന്ധ പിക്ചേഴ്സ് ഇടണം എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ പിക്ചേഴ്സ് ഇടണം, പക്ഷേ ഏതെങ്കിലും പിക്ചർ ഇടലല്ല. പിക്ചേഴ്സ് റിലേറ്റഡ് ടു വാട്ട് വി ആർ ടോക്കിംഗ് അബൌട്ട്, നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്ന കാര്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള പിക്ചേഴ്സ്. ലുക്ക് അറ്റ് ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡ്, സയൻസ് ആൻഡ് ടെക്നോളജീസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ അവിടെ കൊണ്ടുപോയി പച്ചക്കറിയുടെയും പഴത്തിൻ്റെയും ഫോട്ടോ ഇട്ടാൽ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് സ്യൂട്ടബിൾ. So when we use pictures, it should be suitable to the topic we are talking about. നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ടോപ്പിക്കുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ചിത്രങ്ങളാണ് സ്ലൈഡ്സിൽ വരുന്നത്. സ്ലൈഡ്സിൽ പിക്ചേഴ്സ് വേണം, അങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ അതിനൊരു വിഷ്വൽ ഇമ്പാക്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. സോ പിക്ചേഴ്സ് ആർ വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ബിക്കോസ് that is what actually keeps the audience attracted to the presentation. നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന വാക്കുകളെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാനാണ് ഈ വിഷ്വൽസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് വിഷ്വൽ എയ്ഡ്സ് എന്നതിനെ വിളിക്കുന്നത്. എയ്ഡ് മീൻസ് ടു ഹെൽപ്പ്. എയ്ഡ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഹെൽപ്പ് എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. അപ്പോൾ സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് ഹെൽപ്പ് സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് ഹെൽപ്സ് ടു മേക്ക് അവർ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷൻ ബെറ്റർ, അതിനെയാണ് വിഷ്വൽ എയ്ഡ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ സ്ലൈഡ്സിലെ പിക്ചേഴ്സ് നല്ലതാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമാണ് നമ്മളെ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷനെ അത് ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ. ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ഹെൽപ്പ് അവർ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷൻ only if these slides that we are using are appropriate to the topic that we are discussing. Now look at the last set of slides. It is about bars and graphs. Which is clear, first one or second one? Yes, Diya, Snija, Archana, Shrishma, Srinandana, Siya. Wonderful. Anjali, Aishwarya, Ardra. Very good. A lot of people have responded that it is the second one. The reason is that the first one has a lot of information being crammed into the bar graph. It is very difficult to decipher what is there in the graph. അത് എന്താണ് അതിൽ നിന്നുള്ളത് മനസ്സിലാക്കണമെങ്കിൽ വല്ല ഭൂത കണ്ണാടി വെച്ച് നോക്കണം. കണ്ണാടി വെച്ച് നോക്കിയാലും മനസ്സിലാവില്ല അതിന്, because it is so much of information being crammed into the slide, which is actually not required in a presentation. It is not easy, it is not even possible to read what is there on the slide. ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡിൽ എന്താണ് എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ളതെന്ന് തന്നെ ആ ഒബീസിറ്റി എന്നുള്ള ഹെഡിങ് അല്ലാതെ പിന്നെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ളത് മനസ്സിലാക്കൽ വലിയ പാടാണ്. സോ അവർ ബാർസ് ആൻഡ് ഗ്രാഫ്സ് ഷുഡ് ബി easily understood. Okay, easy to understand. So that is what we should focus. It should not confuse. It should be easy to understand. So the second one is like that. Second one is easy to. So we can see that there is a there are just three bars. So the first bar indicates that obesity is at a high level. The second bar indicates that it is reduced. Third bar indicates that it is still further reduced. So there is a reduction. And if you are interested in the details, you can focus on the numbers also. So the second slide is not confusing. It is easy to understand. So this is how we should prepare the slides. So once we have prepared the slides, we have to present these slides before the audience. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ സ്ലൈഡ് പ്രിപ്പറേഷൻ്റെ സ്റ്റേജ് കഴിഞ്ഞു. Now we are going to present ourselves before the audience. So when you make a presentation, we have to uh, divide our presentation into different sections. ഒറ്റയടിക്ക് നേരിട്ട് അങ്ങോട്ട് ടോപ്പിക്കിലേക്ക് കടക്കുകയല്ല. വൺസ് വി ഹാവ് പ്രസൻറ്റഡ് ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡ്, ഓക്കെ, ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഓൾസോ കോൾഡ് ദ ടൈറ്റിൽ സ്ലൈഡ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ എന്തൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും? ടൈറ്റിൽ സ്ലൈഡ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ടൈറ്റിൽ സ്ലൈഡിൽ എന്തുണ്ടാവും? ദർ വിൽ ബി ദി ടൈറ്റിൽ ഓഫ് യുവർ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷൻ. Then there will be your name, your class, the name of your college, etc. should be there. So once that first slide is running before the audience, then you make an introduction about your presentation. Okay, നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് പ്രസൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളതിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഓഡിയൻസിനൊരു ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ നമ്മൾ കൊടുക്കും. ഈ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡ്, അതായത് ടൈറ്റിൽ സ്ലൈഡ് റൺ ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് യു ഗിവ് ദിസ് ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ. So when you have this first slide on the screen, that is when you make the introduction. So this slide helps us to, so the audience will look at the title which is there on the screen, and at the same time they will make the make an understanding of what we are going to talk about. So what is the importance of introduction that is mentioned here? It is very important part of our presentation, because there is a saying in English that if you begin something well, then it is actually a good achievement. It is said that well begun is half done. So if you can begin something very well, so beginning is very important. And there is also a saying. Can somebody complete this? Can you complete? Can anyone complete it? Exactly, Sri Lakshmi P. The first impression is the best impression. So this is the first impression. So the yes, Rishma. That is right. Dia. Thank you for those responses. So this is the first impression. So this first impression should be the best. So we have to be very careful on what we speak in the beginning. We should focus, we should concentrate on getting your introduction right. When you do your presentation, you should be as spontaneous as possible. Yes, yeah, first impression is the best impression. So spontaneous means natural. It should not sound something that you have learned by heart. It should, spontaneous means natural, sudden, etc. Okay, something which It's or should sound it's natural, sudden. That is spontaneous. It should not sound something like recorded or something that you have learned by heart. By heart വന്ന് പഠിച്ചു എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പോലെ തോന്നരുത്. It should sound very natural before the audience. You may have to learn many things by heart. ചില പോയിന്റ്സ് ഒക്കെ നമുക്ക് ബൈ ഹാർട്ട് പഠിക്കേണ്ടി വരും. പക്ഷെ ഇൻട്രഡക്ഷൻ പറയുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളതൊരു പഠിച്ചു വന്നിട്ട് അത് ഇവിടെ വന്ന് നമ്മൾ വീണ്ടും റിക്കളക്ട് ചെയ്ത് പറയുന്ന പോലെ വരരുത്. So that should be done in a very natural manner. So introduction should be as spontaneous as possible. So what are the things that we can include in an introduction? So these are the things that you can include in an introduction. So this will be done when we are running the title slide on the screen. So when the title slide is on the screen, you can make the introduction, and the introduction we will include these things. So these are the things that we are include. We're going to, so we can welcome your audience. So the title is running on the screen. So you will welcome the audience. So you can greet them. You can say good morning, etc. Okay, so then you talk about the subject. So the title screen is already there on the screen. The title slide is already there on the screen. So you can talk about the subject. You can talk about the importance of the subject. Then you can tell them what you are going to talk about the subject. The title അവിടെ കണ്ടതുകൊണ്ട് അവർക്കൊരു ഐഡിയ കിട്ടില്ല. So when you give the title, you can also tell them how you are going to organize your presentation. So what are the things that you will tell them? So they get an idea of what to expect from your session. നിങ്ങൾ സംസാരിക്കാൻ പോകുന്നതെന്ന് അവർക്ക് എന്ത് കിട്ടുമെന്ന് മുൻകൂട്ടി ഒരു ഐഡിയ അവർക്ക് കിട്ടും. So they get an initial idea on what you are going to talk about. So that is called outlining the structure of your presentation. Outlining എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ it is just you say one or two sentences. So for example, when you are talking about the college, so I will tell about the important aspects of our college, the different departments that we have, the different activities that we conduct, and our achievements. So this is my structure about when if I am talking about the college. And in the introduction itself, you can give instructions about questions. So when you are talking about some topic, the audience may have some questions. So you can tell them that if they have some questions, either they can ask in between the class when you in your session or after the session. So some speakers like to have sessions only at the end. Some speakers will prefer questions in between. So that will depend on the speaker. So your preference you can say. നമ്മളാണ് പ്രസൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ പ്രിഫറൻസ് നമുക്ക് പറയാം. If I want to take questions in between the presentation, I can tell the audience that I am ready to take questions in between. Suppose I don't want to be interrupted. ചിലർക്കിടയിൽ തടസ്സപ്പെടുത്തി ചോദ്യങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉത്തരം പറയാൻ ഇഷ്ടമുണ്ടാവില്ല. അങ്ങനെയുള്ളവർക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം? അവർക്ക് അവരുടെ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷന് ശേഷം ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആൻസർ ചെയ്യാം. ഇത് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? ഇത് നമ്മൾ ഓഡിയൻസിനോട് ആ തുടക്കത്തിൽ തന്നെ പറയണം. ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷനിൽ തന്നെ നമ്മളത് പറയണം. So these are the things that I will be talking about in my presentation. If you have any questions, ഒന്നുകിൽ എന്ത് പറയാം? You can ask the questions then itself. Suppose you have a question about a point that I am talking, you can ask them then itself. If you don't like that, you can tell them whatever questions you have, you can ask me at the end of my presentation. So this choice is left to you. That is why the fourth point says give instructions about questions. So you have to give instructions to the audience about what kind of questions that you I mean not what kind of questions, when you want to answer questions. So how do you greet the audience? So that is next. So these are the different things that you can talk about in the introduction. Okay, so this is a typical kind of greeting. Good morning everyone, or hello everyone. These are all greetings. So these are the things that are included in presentation. So hello everyone, good morning. Suppose it is morning, presentation is going to happen in the morning. So you say good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or hello everyone. So that what is that? ഇത് രണ്ടും വെൽക്കമിങ് യുവർ ഓഡിയൻസ് എന്നുള്ള കാറ്റഗറിയിൽ വരും. ഓക്കെ, ഇതാണ് ഈ മൂന്ന് കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് അതിൽ ഉള്ളത്. Welcoming your audience, then introducing the subject. These are the three things which are there. Welcoming, okay, that is the first one. Then introducing the topic, that is the second one. So introducing the topic means അതിലുള്ള രണ്ട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്. The purpose of my presentation is, okay, the purpose of my presentation is the introduction of topic ആണ്. Then I am going to talk about, this is also about the topic. Okay, the third thing that you include in your presentation is about questions. Okay, so these are the three things which are there in the introduction. About questions, you can tell them either do feel free to interrupt me എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എപ്പോൾ വേണമെങ്കിൽ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കാം എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. Do feel free to interrupt me, or you can also say I will answer questions after the presentation. So that is our individual preference, the preference of the speaker. So you can either take questions in between, or you can answer questions after the presentation. So this should be said well before we get into the topic. അപ്പോൾ ടോപ്പിക് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് we should have a very clear what should I say? We should have a very clear idea. That is, the audience should have a very clear idea of what they should expect from our presentation. So that is what we do. The three things we speak about in our introduction is welcoming, introducing topic, and giving instructions about questions. So these are the three things we talk about in our introduction. Introduction ഈ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇതാണ്. And we also give a structure of our presentation. നമ്മൾ പറയാൻ പോകുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചൊരു സ്ട്രക്ചർ. So there is an activity about preparing the structure of a presentation. That is the next activity. ഇതാണ് ഒരു സ്ട്രക്ചർ. So the person is talking about the Indian space റിസർച്ച്. ഇന്ത്യയിലുള്ള സ്പേസ് റിസർച്ചിനെ കുറിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രസൻറ്റേഷനാണ്. So this is the introductory paragraph which gives the structure of the presentation. So there are such certain words which are left out, which are there in the box. You can use those words and fill up the blanks. Okay, so this is an activity which you can do. You can yourself do easily. So when you begin, what is the word that we will use? You can use the words from the box. How will we begin? ഇതിൽ ഏത് വാക്ക് ഉപയോഗിച്ച് നമുക്ക് തുടങ്ങാൻ പറ്റും? വെരി ഗുഡ് തൃഷ്ണ. ഫസ്റ്റ് ദിയ, അർച്ചന, സുകന്യ. ഫസ്റ്റ് തന്നെ ശ്രീലക്ഷ്മി, ശ്രീഷ്മ ഫസ്റ്റ് ആണ്. So these are connecting words. Okay, so we have talked about them as connecting words or linkers. Or different words, discourse markers, etc., which help us to connect between the sentences. Similarly, when you end last paragraph എൻഡിലാണെങ്കിൽ dash, we will have an interactive session എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ വരുന്നത് it is finally. Okay, yes, very good, lot of responses are there. പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിലുള്ള വാക്കുകളൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് നോക്കിയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഫില്ല് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. So depending on what that person is speaking about, you can use the different phrases. There are phrases are combinations of words which are used here. ഈ phrases ഏതെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ ഇതിൽ നമുക്ക് ഫില്ല് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ആ ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ്റെ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് നമുക്ക് കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. So this is called an outline of the presentation. What is the purpose of the outline of the presentation? By listening to the outline of the presentation, the audience is able to understand they can get out of this presentation. ഈ presentation attend ചെയ്ത് ഈ സെഷൻ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്താൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്ത് കിട്ടും എന്നുള്ളത് മനസ്സിലാവും. എന്ത് ചെയ്താൽ ഏത് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്താൽ ഇഫ് ദേ ലിസൺ ടു ദ outline of the presentation. So by looking at the outline of by listening to the outline of the presentation, the audience is able to understand what they will get out of the presentation. Okay. Similarly, after making all the points, we can also, uh, as I said, there is a concluding slide. നമ്മൾ presentation അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുമ്പോൾ we also have a concluding slide which contains a thank you, കോളേജിൻ്റെ പേര്, നിങ്ങളുടെ ഇമെയിൽ ഐ ഡി, the college's phone number, etc. So when you conclude കഴിഞ്ഞു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് പെട്ടെന്ന് നിർത്തില്ല, you can ask them to give questions. You can ask them to ask you certain questions. Okay, so they can ask you questions. You can interact with them. So if they have any questions, they can ask. I can give you, you can again, like you began with the structure of the presentation, outline of the presentation പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ, you can actually sum up. അപ്പോൾ മൊത്തത്തിലൊരു ഐഡിയ വീണ്ടും അവർക്ക് കിട്ടാനായിട്ട് സമ്മിങ് അപ്പ് എന്നാണ് അതിനെ പറയാം. സം അപ്പ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സമ്മിങ് അപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ യു ആർ ആക്ച്വലി ഗിവിങ് എ ഓവർവ്യൂ ഓഫ് വാട്ട് യു പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഞാൻ പോകുന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ച് ആദ്യം പറയുന്നത് പോലെ പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്ത ശേഷം ഞാൻ എന്ത് പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്തു എന്ന് പറയുന്നതാണ് സമ്മിങ് അപ്പ്. So that is something that we can do when we are concluding the presentation. Okay. So when you are concluding a presentation, you can sum up, you can ask, request them to come up with questions. Okay. And then you can also thank them. So for the three things that which are there in conclusion is sum up, then you answer questions. Okay. And then the third one is you have to thank them. So these are the three things which are there in the conclusion. So these structures which are given here, they come under these three categories. Okay. മൂന്ന് കാറ്റഗറിയിൽ വരുന്നതായിരിക്കും ഈ ബോക്സിലുള്ളതെല്ലാം. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ റീക്യാപ്പ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സം അപ്പ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ടു കൺക്ലൂഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതും സം അപ്പ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ദെൻ വി ഹാവ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ളത് ആർ ദർ എനി ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഓർ ക്വറീസ്, ക്ലാരിഫിക്കേഷൻസ് എന്നുള്ളതും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചാണ്. ആൻഡ് ദ തേർഡ് പോയിന്റ് ഈസ് താങ്കിങ് എവരി വൺ. ദ താങ്കിങ് ദ ഓഡിയൻസ് ഈസ് മെനി താങ്ക്സ് ഫോർ യുവർ അറ്റൻഷൻ ആൻഡ് I am immensely grateful to you. So this is how we can conclude the presentation. And the next thing about presentation, the important thing about presentation is that we have to be very careful about how we interact with the audience. Okay. So people may ask you difficult questions. You should not be flustered. So our body language we should be very careful about our body language, the way we stand, the way we dress, the expression, etc. And as I said, the slide should be very clear to the audience, and we should not read the entire presentation. There should be an eye contact. We should be polite when they ask us difficult questions, and we should not go at a very huge speed. The audience should be able to understand easily the presentation, and the tone of our presentation should be very clear. We should be speaking at a volume where the entire audience is able to understand very well. So if you are careful about these things, you can make a very nice presentation which is easily understood by everyone. So that's it for today. We come to the end of this topic. We will take up the next topic in the next class. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank, thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.